Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I am Shafiu Suleiman. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has directed banks operating in the country to commence charging of a 0.005% on all electronic transactions under what it calls Cybersecurity Levy. The directive, according to the Apex Bank, is in line with the provision of Section 44, subsection 2A of the Cybercrime Prohibition, Prevention, etc. Amendment Act 2024, which was enacted and signed into law this year. The deductions, which are to commence in 2 weeks from now, will be paid into the National Cybersecurity Fund to be administered by the Office of the National Security Advisor, which according to the NSA is to aid counter-terrorism efforts and strengthen national security. But the central bank directive has generated outrage among Nigerians who are battling to cope with fuel subsidy removal, increasing electricity tariff, and general cost of living crisis, with civil rights organizations such as SERAP giving the Tinubu government 48 hours ultimatum to reverse the policy or face legal action. This against this backdrop, we'll be engaging with a professor of political science from the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Kamal Bello, who joins us in the studio to examine the issues. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Right. But before we commence the conversation, here are some tidbits. The opposition All Progressives Congress APC in Rivers State has directed the State House of Assembly, led by Right Honorable Martin Emehole, to, with immediate effect, commence impeachment proceedings against the state governor, Similai Fubara. APC Caretaker Committee CTC chairman in the state, Chief Tony Okocha, gave the directive at a press conference in Port Harcourt, the state capital, on Tuesday. The majority, 27 members of the State Assembly, are loyalists of the immediate past governor of the state and current FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Recall that there has been Cold War between Governor Fubara and his entrenched political godfather, Wike. Okocha said the decision of the party followed the remarks by Fubara that the intervention of President Bola Tinubu in the political crisis rocking the state was only a political solution and not constitutional. And elsewhere, Nigerians on Monday rejected the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission's reduction of the tariff payable by Band A customers from 225 kilowatt-hour to 206.8 kilowatt-hour. The Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, and the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, electricity consumers and civil society organizations in separate interviews with newsmen demanded a reversal of the hike to the subsidy tariff. The new tariff announced on Monday came 33 days after the NERC raised the electricity tariff for Band A customers from 68 naira per kilowatt-hour to 225 per kilowatt-hour, representing about a 240% increase. Now, earlier I had a conversation with a legal practitioner on the rationale behind the central bank levy and how it will impact Nigerians. We'll take a look at that interview, and when we return, we engage our guests here in the studio. Stay with us. Barrister, Nigerians wake up today with another round of Tinubu government policy. This one has to do with financial transactions, the 0.005, cybersecurity levy that is imposed, if you like, on Nigerians. What do you make up with this, as a Nigerian? Do you think it's justifiable?
If you ask me, I would say that we as a people cannot our way to economic prosperity. I mean, despite the hardship, despite the pain and agony experienced by Nigerians almost on a daily basis, we are now having a situation where the federal government is again introducing another levy, 0.5, some 0.005% on transactions paid by businesses, which at the end of the day, the brunt would be suffered by the common man on the streets. It appears to me that the leadership of our country is insensitive to the pain, to the agony suffered by Nigerians almost on a daily basis. I do not think that, as provided under Section 14B of the Constitution, that the security and welfare of the people in the primary purpose of government is upheld by this administration. But how else, sir, can we describe this levy in light of the excruciating pain and hardship ravaging the country?
Yeah,
I do not think it is well thought out. I think it's a thoughtless decision, and I think it is timely. I mean, look at the banking industry. Cities will pay different type of tax.
Yeah, about 5
on
of them.
transactions.
So far, in the list, we have about 5 different levies. That is plus the current one.
Yeah.
Now, earlier you talked about
that tells you that we only have a leadership that wants citizens to continue to fund its greed. For how long will citizens continue to pay for the greed of our leaders? And if you even pay tax, at the end of the day, what is there to show for it?
Yeah.
That is the question a lot of our people are asking.
Right. Okay,
that if you're asking us to pay this tax, what sacrifices are the leadership of country making?
Yeah, Barrister, earlier you talked about, interestingly, you talked about the constitutional provision, for, that provides for leadership, Section 14, right? Subsection 2 thereabout, talking 2B, talking about the fundamental responsibility of every government, which is providing welfare and security. But the same government seems to be relying on Section 44, subsection 2A of the newly amended, Cybercrime Act 2024, to unleash this set of levy on Nigerians. And this is a law that was, not long ago amended. It appears a number of amendments have taken place that could push Nigerians, push more Nigerians into hardship. Just recently, we also heard about another amendment which brought about the unbundling of the TCN. Many Nigerians are not even aware of some of these amendments that are unleashing, if you like, or enabling some of these policy options.
Because of the draconian nature of these laws, because of the oppressive nature of these laws, they are not made in a transparent manner. They are not made while carrying the citizens along. And that's why some of us have said, I just spoke in February and said, look, we have a new Cybercrime Amendment Act. Who introduced it? Where was there any debate, publicized debate on this very sensitive legislation? That is the very point we are making. That these things, because it is meant to suppress the people and to oppress the people, they are enacted in secrecy. And that is why, for us, we believe that it is time for the civil society organization to be very active, because the vigilance is the price we pay for our liberty. I also want to make the point, I think it's very important, that this 0.5% levy will be collected by the Central Bank of Nigeria and remitted to the Office of the National Security Advisor. Why should we remit such funds to the Office of the National Security Advisor when the Office of the National Security Advisor
Yes.
It's not created by law. There is nothing, there is no law that creates the office of the National Security Advisor.
And
There is
perhaps,
no law that establishes the office of the National Security Advisor. In fact, the role of the National Security Advisor, the appellation National Security Advisor, is not known to law. So why should we remit the money to it?
yeah, they call it a cybersecurity fund, you know, and basically, as
Look,
the
I
NSA said,
understand.
is to
What we are saying
yes,
is that the money is to be administered. This fund is to be domiciled in the office of the National Security Advisor. Our own modest position is that there is no such law that establishes the office of the National Security Advisor or the National Security Advisor. No such law. So why should taxpayer money go there?
So in other words, if I understand you, Barrister,
the fact that we have a law doesn't make it just.
yes, if I understand,
Who creates, what is the law that creates the office of the National Security Advisor? Is the question I've been asking.
yeah, but Barrister, if I understand your position, what you're saying is that in the first place, the money, I mean, there's illegality in respect to one, where the money is even going to in the first place, because where it is going to in the first place has not been provided by law.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, but then let's look at, you know, the issue around it, or just the justification given by the NSA. You know, this decision was a fallout of a high-level meeting, the African Cybersecurity meeting that took place in Abuja. Nigeria, I think, was among the 66 countries that have, committed themselves to this cybersecurity fight, you know, globally. And the concern was that there is need for funding and all of that. And that's what gave birth to this law and then this decision to tax Nigerians. Okay, fundamentally, you also talked about the principle, the key objective of government, which is providing security. Are we saying, in essence, perhaps, that Nigerians would not have to pay for their own security? You know, and coming at a time, virtually everything has been taken away from them. Subsidy has been taken, electricity tariff has been increased, you know, cost of living is high, inflation is biting harder, and yet Nigerians are still paying for their security.
I do not think that we should be charged separately for the provision of cybersecurity in this country. If not for the fact that we are in a system that is clearly not working, we wouldn't even be talking about the office of the National Security Advisor. The Nigeria Police Force, under the Police Act, is empowered to administer cybersecurity in Nigeria. In fact, as I speak to you, there is this recently established National Cybersecurity Center in Abuja, established by the Nigeria Police Force. Why do we continue to have multiple agencies, multiple offices, serving practically the same purpose? Why do we continue to squander the resources that are meant for the needy? Why do we spend it on multiple offices? I mean, same way we have NDLEA, with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, and we have Custom. Why? Why should we have two different agencies when NDLEA can be part of Custom?
Yeah, Barrister, the reason why
the functions being carried out can be carried out by the other organization. So why can't the police? The police is empowered by to do this that the office, the unconstitutional office of the National Security Advisor is about to carry out, is about to implement. Now that resources of the country is going in that direction.
Barrister,
at a time that some people can barely afford daily bread.
But Barrister, the reason why I asked that question is simple. Provision of security and welfare is a responsibility of government. Monies are being allocated and expended on the issue of security. Why should Nigerians be taxed again, to provide security, cyber security for that matter? How many Nigerians even have access to server services in Nigeria? How many Nigerians even understand what cyber security is all about?
There's double taxation. In our taxation law classes, they will tell you it is illegal. That is double taxation. Now, they are in our budgetary allocation, they are provision security. So why should we have another separate provision for cyber security, which at the end of the day, the Nigerian authority would invariably, as it has done in the recent past, use the resources to tackle freedom of expression and the press, to clamp down on journalists, investigative journalists, reporters, and citizen activists. I mean, the National Cybercrime Center, established by the police, is currently used to harass, intimidate, and detain a certain journalist, Daniel Ojukwu, of Foundation for Investigative Journalism, for simply doing his work as a reporter. That is why we have fear on our part as citizens of this country that this awakening on the part of government to implement the Cybercrime Act should be greeted with suspicion. What is the government up to?
Okay,
Are they really interested in securing our cyberspace?
Yes.
Or they are interested in clamping down on journalists and freedom fighters? These are questions begging for answer.
Yes, Barrister, these are fundamental questions. But then earlier on, you talked about the need for eternal vigilance, if you like. Nigerians and, of course, civil society organizations would have to keep their eyes on these policies that are popping up, here and there. Some will consider anti-people. But then, looking at the table right now, what is on the table of perhaps the Nigerian Labour Congress and its affiliates, is getting too much. They are busy talking about, getting the government to implement 516 or rather 15,000 minimum wage. Again, they are fighting another policy that is the increase in tariff of electricity, and then yet here we are with another one. It appears they are overwhelmed with the number of issues they have to confront the government with. But one of the civil society group, the SERA, for instance, has just given the federal government 48 hours ultimatum to reverse this, levy. But some will say this is one too many. Several ultimatums that are not respected. Will it change anything?
I do not believe that the Nigeria Labour Congress would deliver this country from its current woes. I do not believe that we will need a pressure group or a civil society organization to deliver us from the claws of bad governance in Nigeria. When the time is right, our people will stand in unison against terrible leadership that we experience on a daily basis in this country. There can be surrogacy in fighting freedom. Freedom would only come to the people of Nigeria when all the people of Nigeria arise. We do not expect the civil society or the Nigeria Labour Congress to wage this fight on anybody's behalf. It is the people that must rise and speak to the government in the only language they understand. Come to think of it, just last week or 2 weeks ago, there were fuel scarcity over the streets. Nobody was complaining. The people of Nigeria appears to be a conquered people, a people that are bewitched. And if that had happened in 2012 or 2011, you will know how our streets will be flooded with protests. Today, as if we are conquered, as we are bewitched people, there is a 5% levy, nobody saying anything, we just make some noise on social media and we crawl back to continue our daily work. Until Nigerians are tired of the suffering, there will be a paradigm shift in the way and manner governance is being handled in the country. Until then, hundreds of the Nigeria Labour Congress will not think about any change in our country.
Could it be
people, when they are tired, will rise in unison to demand good governance?
Could it be a crisis of expectation?
We seem not to be tired enough.
Yes, Barrister, could it be a crisis of expectation? Because Nigerians have had hopes, in administrations after administrations. From the change mantra to the renewed hope, Nigerians seems to have believed in this sloganeering, and they are having some sort of faith in it. Do you think that Nigerians are tired of some of these things? Or do you think Nigerians are actually, impacted, negatively by some of these policies? Perhaps they are also in tandem with the thinking and the philosophy behind them.
We have been cheated for too long, but we are also complicit and competent, and we must blame our people too much. Rationality ends when hunger begins. Our people are even unable to rise. Our people cannot think rationally as a lot of hunger that ravaged the country. The government of Nigeria have weaponized poverty in Nigeria. The poverty is a weapon. And since in the comfort, I can speak up because as a lawyer, as a legal practitioner, and a partner of a law firm, I'm sitting comfortably in my office. That is why I can complain. That is why I be bold enough to speak up. Those that have spoken up, I either shut down, journalists that activists that have dared to speak up have been picked up. So the problem is multifaceted. It's a complex tragedy. But by and large, what I think is that the government has weaponized poverty. But I also know that weaponization of poverty may endure for a night. But surely a time will come when the people will rise. And we are moving to the climax. At the time when the suffering gets climax, the people will rise. We experienced NSAS in 2020. Who had expected it? Even God didn't expect that kind of uprising. But if the government continues to oppress the people by not delivering the dividends of democracy to them, what they are doing is only watering the seed, the revolution that is to come.
Even though
you cannot continue to beat a child and expect that the child will not cry. A day will come, our people will rise. But my question is that why are we so docile again? Some will say we are bewitched, but I think we just as if we are a conquered people.
Okay, Barrister, even though we're not hoping for any violent, reaction, Nigerians are rational human beings.
I'm sorry. When we make the use of the word revolution, it doesn't have to be violent. Section 39, 40, and 41 of the 1999 Constitution guarantees the right of citizens to express displeasure against an administration. If I'm on the street, it's my fundamental right to be on the street to say no, enough is enough.
perhaps the government would also do the needful to avert a possible showdown with Nigerians. That's what many would expect. Thank you very much, Barrister Festus Ogun, for talking to us on Daily Politics. We appreciate your perspectives.
Thank you very much for having me.
I will now take a short break and we'll return. Our conversation with Professor Kamal Bello continues. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us. Professor, thank you for your patience. You've had Barrister, Festus Ogun there in Lagos talking about this development. But before we, delve into the issue proper, I read two tidbits. One has to do with the political crisis in Rivers, and the other concerning Nigerians rejecting the reduction in electricity tariff and asking government to completely reverse it. Let me get your take on this two very quickly.
The crisis in Rivers State has been there since after the election.
Yes.
And it will linger on for some time to come. And that's the politics in Nigeria. Politics in Nigeria is full of crisis.
Right.
And this crisis is tussle, power tussle. Who will be the godfather and who will be the godson. We have experienced it in Kano, between Ganduje and Kwankwaso.
Yes.
We experienced it in many other places as well. So it's not new. And we are used to it. We have developed thick skin to witness all these raborosas. So on the issue of protest against hike in electric tariff, to me, it's just a kind of, so that the, what do you call them now? The labor union will not be seen as not talking. And in politics and democracy, everybody is allowed to hear his view.
That's right.
But the effectiveness of the few is the problem that we are facing. It's just normal talk. We have been talking of a hike in price of petroleum. Unions have stood up, and at the end of the day, the price is still skyrocketing, subsisting. So similar thing with this electrical tariff. Electricity tariff, it will continue no matter the talk. So that's my own take.
Right. Okay. This led me into the issue. I mean, the topic of discussion. From the way things are, from just what you just said now, the summary of it is that Nigerians will continue to witness some of these policies, anti-people policies, some would say, will continue to come up, in spite of the public outcry.
When I was invited for this program, I realized that naturally Nigerians are docile.
Just like Barrister has said.
We don't have critical minds, even in the academia. Because this act is not new. It started in 2015.
That's right.
Central Bank sent directive to the banks, commercial banks, in 2018. What we are witnessing in 2024 is a review of the act.
That's right.
So an act can never come from the bloom. It can be done in secret. Yeah. For instance now, the National Assembly put up an advert about review of the Constitution. People are not talking now. Until the Constitution is reviewed against them, they will not shout.
Okay.
When this act was being formulated in 2015, where are we?
Well, but in the case of this Cybersecurity Act and the amendment, I think Barrister was particular about the amendment, which took place just this year or so.
That's what I'm saying.
And then the impact is now being felt by Nigerians.
That's what I'm saying.
But his concern was there any public hearing? Have Nigerians been engaged, looking at the sensitivity of the...
An act can never be promulgated. It's one of the conditions in the National Assembly to call for public hearing. I'm citing a sample of the Constitution now. They advertise in different newspapers. I participated in that of Arewa Consultative Forum. Are you getting what I'm saying?
That's right.
So the National Assembly cannot promulgate any law.
So it must have taken place, perhaps maybe without Nigerians noticing.
No, I say Nigerians, we are docile. Our minds is not all that critical. Let me cite one good example to you in my system, the university system. Some years ago in one university, I don't want to mention them, They awarded us a research grant, and the research grant from Tech Fund is about 1.9 million for each group. When they sent the money, 60% to start the work. Some of us in the group, in the social sciences, we look at it and we calculate it. This money you are giving me, is it up to 60% of what I'm supposed to take? It was not up to. When we now go to a meeting, other colleagues have said, because you people are critically minded. They did not think about it. They collected money and started
the work.
started doing the work. We are not critical enough. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, but Barrister has said something fundamental. He talks about even the state of mind of Nigerians. A number of Nigerians, because of the poverty level, he talks about weaponization of poverty, cannot even have a discerning mind, cannot even have time to critique or critically look at some of these things until they are, unleashed, on them. Would you blame them? Do you see that? Yes.
What I'm trying to say is that it's as if it's a tradition. It's in our blood. It's an instinct in us to be docile. We don't have critical mind. Even the academia, I'm telling you, it's my constituency. Yeah. People take everything the way it comes.
For granted, yeah.
For granted. You're supposed to be critical. Look at what you are given. You're supposed to be meticulous. But we are not in Nigeria, I'm sorry to say. Even if they are talking about a review of law, until it has effect on us, that we are shouting now. Yes. When they were promulgating it, I said 2015. And there were circulars in 2018 from the central bank to the commercial banks. We were not talking that time. Now that this was reviewed this year, and then it was sent, the central bank now sent to the commercial bank, everybody now woke up from the slumber. Something has eaten me. In banking system, before you even open bank account, you need to go to the website and what is the condition of that bank.
Very many few people do that.
Are not doing it. Or you go to the branch and say, what are the conditions? Many are not doing it. Right. Because as you have said now, there are a lot of deduction done by bank. More than 10.
Yeah, we've seen multiple of them.
More than 10 that we do not bother about. Your ATM got lost, they deducted. You want to change your ATM, they deducted. Your ATM is swallowed by the...
Look at it, perhaps because if you don't see 10 naira or 25 naira as something. So if it is
your ATM is swallowed by the... What is it called? Your ATM card was swallowed by the machine. You are the one to go and buy another one. Right. They say that one is useless. They are charging us heavily, maintenance every month. They deduct money, and so on and so forth.
Now that we are being critical, let's look at the rationale behind all of this. Security, just like I said, I asked Barrister earlier, it's a fundamental responsibility of government to provide. Why push it to Nigerians? Why, transfer the burden to Nigerians?
One thing that is basic, because of our uncritical mind, is that the economy of Nigeria has changed from socialism, or what you call mixed economy. Right. It's going towards capitalism, rapidly.
Full-blown capitalism.
Full-blown capitalism. That you must pay for everything you are enjoying. No free food in London, they do say.
But are you enjoying it in the first place? Because you were talking about security. Are Nigerians even getting the security?
We will get security based on the level of based on our level. The security in Nigeria cannot be like security in America or Britain because of the type of recruitment, even to security, like politics. We recruit everybody. Sometimes they are shouting that some people, repentant militants were recruited, some armed robbers are recruited, some people pay money before they can get the job, and they want to recoup the money, the investment. So our system of recruitment is weak. That's why we are getting what we are getting. You are going on the road. The police who are to check are just collecting money from you and pass you. So, and he will tell you that, no, we're suffering. They've not given me allowance. They gave him, he said it's not enough. And so on and so forth. Our system of recruitment is a reflection of what we are seeing in our security life.
Okay. Take, for instance, we're talking about monies that will be deducted, 0.005%. Some may see it as negligent, if you like, a very small amount, meager. But put it together, perhaps you have millions of Nigerians on the banking system. And such amount of money that will be generated will be huge, for instance, to be able to... Now, who does what, and how can how is it going to be expended even in the first place? Yes, it's channeled towards Cybersecurity Fund to be administered by the Office of the NSA. How much money is expected? How much money, I mean, if it is realized, who checks what? The spendings. Who oversights the fund, the account, for instance? All of these are critical questions Nigerians will be asking.
The Act provided for penalty if you don't remit from the commercial bank within 1 month. Which means that even emphasizing, the commercial bank will collect this money and they will not remit.
Already.
That's another problem we are facing.
Okay. So even within the banking system, they are suspicious of the fact
that these people will not do the right thing. So they must put machinery in motion, in place, that if you don't do this is sanction that will be given to you. For instance, now, some of our so-called companies in Nigeria, at the time they are not paying their tax. And they are declaring profit after tax, declaring big, huge amount of, at the end of they are not paying. The government now directed them that use that money to construct road for us. Who is checking the quality of the road and the quantity?
And how much money is put into it?
Or is budgeted. So those are issues. Our life is complex. That we cannot be able to get what we needed in terms of accountability. So that's basic fact.
Right. Oh, okay. Now, coming back to the nitty-gritty, still looking at the rationale behind this. Or rather, looking at the situation at hand, even chronicling the policies that have come on board since the advent of this administration. Just like we mentioned earlier, a number of policies, subsidy removal, tariff, electricity subsidy removal that led to hike in tariff, and several others. Now we're having issues coming from the banking sector and all of that. Businesses are also tasked and all of that. A number of them are folding up because they cannot cope. What exactly is the direction of the government? And is there sensitivity in the formulation of some of these policies?
I'm sorry to say, when this government was coming, everybody embraced that it will come with technocrats, intellectuals. And we are seeing them now.
So this is the result of the
intellectualism and technocratism that we are seeing. So which means the recruitment, those people that we hype, that they are their best, our best, which means we have not gotten to the stage we are going. We still need to look more for intellectuals and technocrats who can save us from this situation. There's no problem in life that has no solution. There's no sickness without medicine, without cure. The only problem is that we have not seen
except perhaps death. Does it have medicine?
No, that was not sickness. That is not sickness. So
it's inevitable.
So it's inevitable. We need to. We show that our economy is in bad shape. See our naira fell at a time. And then see how we rescued it, and so on and so forth.
Has it been rescued completely? It's still staggering.
It's staggering because at least it was rescued. If it's temporary, at least it was not like the way it was falling. So what we are trying to say is that the economy, I had one experience, was it last week? I went to a bank, we queue at the ATM, and then it's my bank, and it's the ATM bank that we are using. Yet you cannot take more than 10,000 naira.
There's restriction.
Restriction.
Your access to your
own fund. So somebody was now telling me on the queue that to transport from some people's house to where the bank is located is money. Some will spend 500 naira. Is it not better to use POS close to you? 20,000 naira, you give 200 naira. So which means the POS now is even more.
Yeah, it has taken over. Essentially, if you look at the traffic that used to get at the banks, it's no longer.
It's no more.
People do stay at home.
And do that transaction because the labor to move from your house to the bank with this hike in fuel, then everybody will just go close. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not the benevolent of economists when they bring some goods closer to you. It's because they know they will gain some things there. If economy is having problem as we're having now, definitely a lot of things will show itself. It means that the government cannot generate enough revenue to secure us. they have to look for alternative.
Even with the funding, even with the budgetary allocation, even with the, what do you call it, the security votes that is not accounted for and all of that?
Well, most of the, when you talk of budget in public, what is it called?
Yeah,
in public finance, budget is an estimate.
That's right.
It's not the actual. It's as money is coming that the actual. Sometimes our budget is not even operated or maybe executed up to 40%.
That's right.
Of what we budgeted.
And we'll be budgeting trillions of
We budget maybe 25 trillions, and at the end of the day, we can only be able to get money to execute up to maybe 40% of it.
All right. Looking at the philosophy behind all of this, every government do come with its own kind of philosophy and thinking, and even partners. Some of this, many believe, policies that we're seeing today were policies that have been prescribed to previous administrations. A number of them decline, some of them implement halfway and all of that. But here we are with the direction we are going in this country. Some will say we're taking hook, line, and sinker those, prescriptions from the IMF and World Bank, in spite of the fact that they are pushing the citizens, into more hardship.
We have been hearing this for a long time. As a student of politics and political economy, IMF, World Bank, the Bretton Woods, brothers and sisters, and so on and so forth. Is it not high time after 60 years of our independence to be able to do something different? If we are still bondage, people are still talking of problem of colonialism. They are talking of neo-colonialism up to in 2024.
Isn't this showing that we are not financially independent? We're not economically independent.
We are not even intellectually independent. Our mind, if some of us see something from foreign, we embrace it quickly. Somebody will go to Harvard and bring one certificate. You study economics, you study history, American history. We embrace him and put him in Nigeria. And it's empty-headed. Because he does not know what Nigeria is. Intellectually, we are weak. That's where we have the problem. We embrace nonsense. We embrace emptiness. We embrace nothing at the expense of reality.
And in some cases, some will say we also lack options. For instance, some of the governments that do take some of these advisories from the capitalists, so to speak, do that for a reason. A number of them are also looking at how they can access loans and what have you. If they don't do X, Y, Z, perhaps they won't be in the good books of the lenders and so on.
Some of us, we beg to differ. Well, Nigeria has enough resources to take care of ourselves. We don't need to borrow from outside. We don't need loan from China. I think we will manage our resources properly.
Okay. So
some people will have in their account billions, trillions, wasting. It's not invested. And these are money for infrastructure. Some people pack money for benches in school, money for learning materials, money for drugs in the hospital, and so on and so forth. This salary, you are paying salary, you increase salary by 35%, some 25%. And then you look at it at the end of the day. What is the quantum?
35% of what?
Of what?
Of 30,000
naira?
We're talking about, just a bag of rice around 60, 70.
Those are issues. We have enough resources to take care of us. I didn't mean we are able to control the loopholes where those leakages are coming out. And then if we are contented that after taking my own, let my brothers and sisters take their own.
They want to take their own too.
You want to take that of millions to be part. Those are the issues we have. If you borrow money from China, if you get funds from World Bank, at the end of the day, some people will squander it. That's the fundamental problem we have. We are not satisfied. We are so greedy. Somebody wants to build, everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry want to build a 10-room mansion.
Apartment.
When you build a 10-room apartment or 4 rooms, you are only one inside that house. Maybe your wife and children are over doing some things, or maybe they are in school.
So our values we need value reorientation. Our mentality, our psyche is not in tandem with.
It cannot give us progress the way we want it. We cannot develop with this type of mentality. Everybody money. Recently, one of my colleagues, You will now be telling me that, oh, they sent $1 to somebody who is a professor, and the professor said, see, I converted $10,000 to Naira is a million. I said, how can you as a professor be thinking of Naira and Kobo alone? You are not thinking that, are we not enslaving ourselves? That we judge all our transactions in dollar?
You're dollarizing the economy, the entire economy.
Right. So you are promoting dollar, you are making Naira to fall.
We're rounded up gradually, looking at where we are and what needs to be done. You just talked about the need for prudent management of resources.
Yes.
That the resources are there, only that they are not prudently
They are not managed.
Okay, so how do we do this in the face of, because we're now beginning to see a transfer. Whenever there are challenges, economic challenges, it is transferred to the ordinary people, to the lower cadre, to the multidimensionally impoverished Nigerians, rather than even taxing those that need to be taxed. For instance, how can we have a shift, a paradigm shift, in our governance trajectory to begin to think inward and address our problems rather than rely on foreign, prescriptions that are inimical to our economy?
Our recruitment to leadership at all levels is weak. We recruit anybody to lead, and leadership is a talent. Like somebody who has talent for electronics, somebody who has talent like mechanical, who can repair car for us. We have problem with our car on the road. You call a roadside mechanic. Look at this for me, roadside electrician. Look at it because he's talented. The same thing with leadership. It's especially for people who are talented. If you are not talented, you cannot perform. And this is what we are seeing. We are not recruiting. Even in the Greek world in those days, they tag some people as philosopher king. That if you are not philosopher king, you cannot be a king. To mean that you must be intelligent enough to be a king.
Now, okay, talking about leadership recruitment process, how do we sanitize it in the face of commercialization? Now, politics has been commercialized, so to speak. Monetized, so to speak. So how do we sanitize it now that we're talking about going back to the basis, the leadership recruitment process?
When this barrister was talking about revolution, he said revolution may not be necessarily violent.
Yes.
I agree with him. But there are certain things in the political science class that make a revolution to start. You must have a leader, an impeccable character, who people will trust. And it's not a leader that I want it to happen today and next year I become president.
Want to benefit from it?
You want to benefit from it. It must take time. Look at what happened in South Africa.
The Mandela.
Mandela was not even the real people that started it. Even the ANC.
Right.
He came late. He was a young man. Because others faded away. He now came to his turn. Those are the things we need to be working towards. But by the time we have it, that this revolution, I must be the head of it. And I must benefit in the next election. It's failure already. It must grow. Revolution grows.
Right.
It takes time.
Okay.
Even if you suffer, even if some people are even injured, you continue.
Right.
But today, if you are injured or suffer, and they call you to come and collect one contract or appointment, that's the end of the revolution.
Right. Do you have a word for the leadership? The need to be, lastly, perhaps as we round up now, the need to apply brakes, looking at the situation in the country and then the sensitivity of some of these actions.
When the president came in, on the first day of his being sworn in, he said if he did not remove the subsidy, Nigeria will collapse. Are you getting it? And that's fact. But we need think tanks at every level of governance, either local government, either university, either polytechnic. We need think tanks. The eggheads, come and sit and let's draw. How can we go?
Yeah.
That's the only solution to our problem.
Right.
So if we do not do that, this present government do not do that, this policy today, another policy, everybody will be shouting. It will be painful. Yeah. There are ways out that will not be as painful as this.
Right.
I think we will get the right thinkers.
That's right. Thank you very much, Professor Kamal Bello, for your informed perspective. Professor Kamal Bello is a professor of political science from the National Open University, Abuja. And earlier we had Barrister Festus Ogun, also with his own perspective. Viewers, this is a wrap on today's package. We sincerely hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics Live, aired every weekday. And also our special package on Friday in which we open our telephone line for you to comment on national issues. On behalf of the technical crew, my name is Shafiu Suleiman, thanking you for investing your time with us.